grant making really asks the question, who gets to make decisions about where grant dollars go? In traditional philanthropy, it is typically the staff and board of foundations that get to make decisions. In participatory grant making, we are really working to center the voice of community and the voice of people who have lived experience in the specific issue area that you're working on. It's really about centering that voice and bringing diverse perspectives to the grant making process. The Overdose Prevention and Community Healing Fund gets its funding from the national opioid settlement dollars. The goal is to repair the harms inflicted on individuals, families, and communities as a result of the opioid epidemic and overdose crisis, as well as to prevent future harms.
The opioid settlement dollars came about in the wake of the opioid epidemic across this nation. A lot of cities and states and jurisdictions filed lawsuits against different facets of opioid distributors, prescribers, stores like CVS and Walgreens. So this settlement that we're talking about here is the national distributor settlement. So it was companies that actually distributed the pills. The state of Pennsylvania signed on to that settlement agreement. So there's a certain amount of money that comes each year to the city of Philadelphia.
So it's really critical that we have the voice of people with lived experience, people who live in communities and families that have been touched by this epidemic and by the overdose crisis.
It's definitely different in a good way. It's different in a good way because it gives power to those that live through or have worked with or have seen firsthand how the opioid epidemic has affected residents and those who are using. More of it is needed because more people who are passionate about the work get to be part of the decision-making process, and that's not usually the case. It's really time to move towards that more and more often. I lived in Kensington all my life up to the age of 25, so I grew up in Kensington. I saw the community just change. It just came to the streets, the opioid use and the selling of opioids.
A lot of time you see money get thrown around and the community has nothing to do with it. That's the easiest way to say it. So to be able to be a part of and have a say in where those funds are allocated, that was important. The community grant making process is not only inclusive in that it involves community members, but also the ideals of the community and the values that they've developed, those people living in the community that they have developed, living there and experiencing these personal trials, tribulations, and just experiences.
We are seeing there's such a crisis in the city of Philadelphia with fatal overdoses, and what we're seeing with the racial disparities in fatal overdoses as well, and more Black and brown folks unfortunately dying from fatal overdose. We really needed to pull in as many partners as possible.
The poster child for the opioid epidemic in Philadelphia obviously is Kensington. Numbers show that number 2 is North Philadelphia. And then we looked at the demographics that told us that Black men between the ages of 20, 35 are the next highest number of people ODing from opioids.
Coming up in the early 80s and the crack epidemic was like the only thing you heard of. Opioids was not something that really was addressed in my community. And if you didn't know about Kensington or never been to Kensington, that's the place where it was over there. Well, it's not over there anymore, it's over here. Personally, it's been one of the biggest things that's up and coming in my neighborhood, let alone not just here in Mercy where I work, but also where I live. Those type of things are very traumatic for me, but I just can imagine the trauma that my neighborhood is going through.
I was not aware of this model existing when I came into recovery. And women just don't get a fair chance often. Often women are given the burden of raising the family, having the education, doing the job, taking care of the house. And women come into recovery with all of those things still in their backpack. So here we give them a chance to say, you don't have to be a mom today. You don't have to be a caretaker today. You don't have to do for everyone. This is a shot right now to just do for yourself. And then you can put those titles back, but by keeping yourself first.
It is very hard to recover on the street. It is very hard to stay healthy on the street. If you're able to get those two things, a shelter and your health, that allows for other things to happen. Our attempt is that you shouldn't be hitting the street, because that is when generally GHS has cause to take your children. That was the real thing. You shouldn't be hitting the street. We have to stop people from hitting the street.
We were kind of a kitchen sink nonprofit until we got the opioid settlement monies.
I think it's really important. So many of the organizations that receive the funds are these smaller organizations that are really embedded in the community, that are really grassroots. And that was really important to us to make sure that we got funding to them.
The Overdose Prevention and Community Healing Fund does so much for Danny's house in that it pays for a lot of our personnel, which has freed us up to take on more responsibility. So we were able this year to bring on another person full-time, as well as it helps supplement some of our auxiliary positions.
The work is important on like a personal level. It was meaningful before, but you spend like 30 days with people in like a bigger setting. Here they get to stay for a year, possibly 2, because they can move next door now. So it's like you get to see somebody who was like really struggling in the beginning, and then they're a totally different person when they leave. And you're like, wow, look what happened.
With the prevention, I'm finding that my personal conversations, as well as bringing in Narcan training and things like that to our classroom, is becoming very helpful. And now with this grant, it allows us to do even more.
With our wellness programs transition into the harm reduction venues. And so this now gives us a larger platform to be able to bring awareness, especially to people who have suffered loss through the opioid epidemic.
There's definitely a lot that's been going on with our youth in dealing with the opioid epidemic. Actually did a demonstration for our youth and educating them about overdose reversal. A lot of them had no idea what Narcan was, and the idea of laying it out for them, letting them know that this is something that will overturn an opioid overdose. And once they learned, they were a lot more open in expressing some of their knowledge or past interactions with narcotics too as well, whether it was friends or family. And then when you gave them the resources, you more so helped them be more productive in the chance of an overdose. If that overdose does happen, at least they know now how to overturn it, and it puts them a little bit more at ease.
I've experienced people doing great, but then 10 years go, and then you're back in this cycle. Like, our goal is to break those cycles.
The fund has given us more of an opportunity to help more that are going into recovery or are in recovery. Being able to help the people that are going into recovery and really need the help. Like, once they're in a recovery house, they're like, okay, now I'm sober, now what do? I don't even know. I've been on the streets for 5 years, I don't even know. Like, we're able to, especially if they don't have family members that have stuck by them for one reason or another, we're able to say, okay, well here, we're gonna give you a trans pass. We're gonna find you maybe a job or a place where you can go to a temp agency and go through that. So we're able to do that a whole lot more. And that to me means so much, because I don't want someone to leave a recovery house because they just are overwhelmed and they don't know what to do and they don't have what they need. So we're just able to do it more.
The HOPE program provides substance use disorder services and treatment, mental health services and treatment. We provide family reunification and family dynamic care services, infrastructure supports around what it looks like to be a family that comes from addiction and opioid usage to something that is more sustainable and healthy moving forward.
My name is Jesse Tatey. I'm an alcoholic and an addict, and I am a member of Angels in Motion, and in the past I was a recipient of their services. I was homeless and on the street in Kensington, and Angels in Motion played a big role in helping me to get clean and stay clean and start to prosper and just be able to take care of myself and do the stuff I needed to do. After I had received the help that I did and experienced that I got from AIM, my goal from then on was kind of to try to help other people. I had realized that that was just invaluable to my experience.
I love Danny's house. I love being able to do this work. I think of myself as a much part of the community as the residents. It's really a whole team effort every day.
My mentorship is these are all my little cousins. If they're older, they're my aunties. They're the people that I engage with, and because it's my community, I do whatever I can to make sure they reach their goals.
It was missing in Nicole's leadership, understanding, and having patience with me. Just the level of care that she has is very, very much needed. And the opportunities I was able to access from this.
That's the major piece, to be able to present programming for our families who are dealing with the trauma of loss, but also to help us understand that we are all a part of this. The peripheral and the collateral damage that is done, sometimes we don't realize that it truly does affect us. If it hurts a member, if it hurts a member of community, a neighbor, it hurts us all.
When we saw things happening and we saw a lot of what we had grew up in, it created an opening for us to do what we wanted a long time ago, which was to be what we didn't have when we were experiencing these things. A big part of this grant and this prevention component that allows us to feel super proud is that our community saw the value in what we were trying to do. Being entrenched in the Black and brown community and talking to people in these spaces, it was incumbent upon us to create something a little bit different and innovative.
It's just so much support, and I love the fact that the support is just like around the clock, and it's not just like outside of a community, it's in the community.
The more we do it, the more people feel safe in saying, hey, I'm in therapy. And when you ask, I've had clients who have said, I tell people I'm in therapy now. I've never done therapy. I've had clients 60s, 70s, 50s, teenagers who, as a result of being a part of the program, have changed their perspective of what help looks like, what it feels like, what it tastes like, and they're telling the community about it. And they've said, like, I referred my aunt, I referred my son, I referred my friend. These people have been living in the community for years.
There was someone who came to me who felt like they were going to relapse. So with the things that I know and the resources that I have through the Land Trust, we started a monthly recovery meeting. And I'm happy that person, they did come out to me and let me know what was going on, because now it's growing. But that's something else that I love about the Land Trust. We got say-so. We have a lot of say-so, and that matters to me.
with the presence of groups like ours being out there is important, because in the end, the goal is to help this person get out of this mess. But if they're not ready, they're not ready. And making them comfortable and making sure they stay alive long enough to get out of this, it's the whole point of the whole process.
I really hope to see that community members and folks who do not typically have their voices heard around how resources are allocated have the chance to be a part of that decision making. I hope to demystify the grant making process, make it more transparent, more democratic, and that the city of Philadelphia will have more opportunities for real civic engagement like this, where folks can give back to their communities through this opportunity to say where money goes. Ultimately, money is power, and I hope to see power in the hands of people who are most impacted by how these dollars get spent.
The more we're getting people engaged, the more we're giving education, I think it opens up the space that things can get better. Once again, we are called Hope for a reason. We are trying, at the very least, make people feel hopeful that things can get better. And I think that's a first step.
It's about becoming a better Philadelphia, us being more humane to one another. I have hope and feel it because I've seen it happen in the sense of our youth being able to share with us. We wouldn't be able to grow if we don't allow one another opportunity. They say at the time of communion, you break bread. If we're breaking bread, that means everybody should be allowed to eat. And for me, the way that we feed one another is through love.